News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and now 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Western Montana could be facing one of the worst fire seasons ever. Good morning, everyone. It's Montana Morning. It's Thursday, June 25th, 2015. Skies overcast, and it's a warm one out there this morning. Right now, we're sitting at 63 degrees under a cloudy sky. And our newscast this morning, sponsored by AB Technology Solutions, offering backup and disaster recovery, remote support, and monitoring. Find them online at abtechnologysolutions.com. This morning's top story, Western Montana's on pace to make history this year with what could be the driest summer in a century. Montana State Forester Bob Harrington told our John King it could lead to a record fire season as well.
Whether it's record-breaking or not, we've had some pretty challenging fire years, 2000, 2003, 2007 on the west side of the Continental Divide, and those 3 years are what this one is starting to look like. So whether it exceeds some of those years or not, I think it's going to be in the same ballpark.
Harrington says eastern Montana is expected to get some moisture and likely won't have as intense a fire season as the west. On the other hand, though, western Montana and Flathead County in particular are expected to have fire trouble.
For western Montana, what I remember from 2007 is that right after the 4th of July, we had a week of 100-degree plus temperatures, and within a week or two, we had started that record-setting fire season that was primarily western Montana-centric. Certainly, it's going to be a challenging year unless something unpredicted happens.
National Weather Service meteorologist Genki Kino says right now the Missoula area is experiencing a dry spell worse than anything going back to 1910 and could even break that record this week. With the temperatures expected to top 100 degrees by the weekend that lasts through the 4th of July, Missoula City County Health Department nurse Cindy Hotchkiss has two important pieces of advice. Stay cool and hydrated.
There are places that you can go if you don't have air conditioning at home, like you can go to the mall, you can go to a department store or a grocery store. You want to drink more water than you're used to drinking, and you don't want to wait until you're thirsty to drink. You should just sort of try and make it a habit to just drink a little bit of water throughout the day.
Hotchkiss addressed the two major heat-related illnesses. First, heat exhaustion.
Some of the symptoms of heat exhaustion are heavy sweating, weakness, cold, pale, clammy skin, fast, weak pulse, and nausea and vomiting, and it can also cause you to lose consciousness. It's important to move to a cooler location. You want to lie down and loosen your clothes and try and cool off as much as you can.
Next, a more serious condition, heat stroke.
You get a really high body temperature, like above 103 degrees. You get hot, red, or moist skin, and you have a very rapid, strong pulse, and it usually does cause unconsciousness or fainting. So it's important to call 911 immediately because it is a medical emergency.
The National Weather Service does predict high temperatures to remain in the 90s through next week. The equity firm that owns Missoula's water system has appealed a judge's order that forces it to sell the water company to the city. The Missoulian newspaper reports the Carlisle Group on Tuesday appealed a district court ruling that gives the city the right to buy Mountain Water. Mountain Water and its employees have also filed notices of appeal. District Judge Karen Townsend ruled in favor of the city in its eminent domain case last week. The decision means the Carlisle Group must propose a value for the water system. The city may make a counteroffer. If they don't reach an agreement, a water commission will hear arguments on the value. With much of western Montana already facing the threat of high fire danger, some are wondering if county governments will prohibit the sale of fireworks this summer. Blue Dragon fireworks stand owner Debbie Cleveton says she's extremely worried about that prospect.
I have several credit cards maxed out to the hilt purchasing my fireworks, and I cannot send those fireworks back. So if they were to shut down the fireworks stands and not let them sell, I'd be in a world of hurt because I would have major credit card bills that I would be able to pay. So plus, there's all the other expenses, the lot rent, the utilities.
There are only 12 days in summer when fireworks stands can sell their wares, and Cleveton hopes the dry conditions won't scare off customers.
You don't want to take any chances. That's great. Just don't give up buying the fireworks. Just save them and use them sometime else. Just wait until the fire danger's gone, and then you can use them. You can celebrate with fireworks all year round in the state of Montana outside of city limits. It's been that way for as long as I've sold fireworks.
Yesterday was the first day of sales for Montana fireworks stands. Unless the rules change, they'll remain open through July 5th. Farmers and environmentalists are urging Montana regulators to establish buffer zones around residences to protect them from oil and gas drilling. But energy industry representatives say such a move is not needed and would put large areas of the state off limits to development. The State Board of Oil and Gas Conservation yesterday heard almost 2 hours of testimony on whether to require the so-called setbacks for drilling. Chairwoman Linda Nelson says the board will decide in August whether it wants to pursue the matter. Ever since the Supreme Court decision found that the Montana Department of Revenue had incorrectly taxed AT&T's intangible personal property, both AT&T and the state have been in settlement negotiations. Montana Department of Revenue Director Mike Katis, former mayor of Missoula, said they finally reached a settlement.
The total assessed amount was about $12 million. They protested almost $9 million. About almost $6 million of the $9 million will go back to the various taxing jurisdictions, and $3 million of the $9 million will go back to AT&T.
Katis says the tax law is vague and that this will probably not be the end of tax difficulties between the state and AT&T.
It's likely that we will continue to have differences into the future. That wouldn't surprise me a bit. But, we'll got this one past us, and we have some guidance from the Supreme Court. It's a difficult issue. Unfortunately, the statute that we're working with is not as clear as it would be helpful.
There were efforts during the last legislative session to update the vague tax code's language, but Katis says his department did not support the legislation because it would have reduced taxes on telecommunications companies. Katis says the settlement was, quote, reasonable, end quote. Yellowstone County officials are asking State Department of Corrections administrators to move their inmates quickly to help with jail overcrowding. The Billings Gazette newspaper reports that the county officials, including Sheriff Mike Linder, DOC Director Mike Batista, and Jail Commanding Captain Sam Bofto, met yesterday to try to alleviate some of the pressures by sending about 110 convicted inmates to prison. The jail was built in 1987 at a capacity of 174 inmates. An expansion in 1997 brought the capacity to 286. However, on average, the jail's daily population runs between 430 and 470 inmates. Our News Talk time now is 6:12.
Newstalk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Mostly sunny skies today with our highs in the upper 80s. Mostly clear tonight with our lows dropping into the mid-50s. High temperatures on Friday will top out in the 90s with 100-degree readings for the weekend. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster from Missoula's KECI 13.